good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, this is episode 31 of Leviticus, and we're finishing up chapter 18 of Leviticus today. Chapter 18 dealt with sexual relations. Okay, that's, if you want to find out about sexual relations, you turn to Leviticus 18. Okay, we're closing that out today, and it's entitled Separate Yourself Sexually, Separating Sexually. The people of Egypt were living in perverse ways sexually, and the people of Canaan were living in perverse ways sexually. Okay, God called the people out of the world, Egypt, and called them into this new land, Canaan, but did not want them to adopt the way of the Canaanites. He wanted them to be separate. So he calls them out of Egypt, and he says, "Hey, I want you to be separate. I want you to live a pure life before me." And so that means you're getting rid of the Egyptian ways. You're not adopting the Canaanite ways, but you're going with my ways. Okay, so let's read here today. This is Leviticus chapter 18, verses 24 to 30. It says this: "Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways." And if you didn't know what ways those are, just listen to yesterday's episode, and it gives you every imaginable way. "Because this is how the nations that I'm going to drive out before you became defiled. Even the land was defiled, so I punished it for its sin, and the land vomited out its inhabitants." They were so gross and disgusting with this sexual sin that it says the land defiled them. It was like sick of it. Okay, it's bad. Verse 26, "But you must keep my decrees and my laws. The native born and the foreigners residing among you must not do any of these detestable things. For all these things were done by the people who lived in the land before you, and the land became defiled. And if you defile the land, it will vomit you out as it vomited out the nations that were before you. Everyone who does any of these detestable things, such persons must be cut off from the people. Keep my requirements and do not follow any of the detestable customs that were practiced before you came, and do not defile yourselves with them. I am the Lord your God." Okay. One key word it says in there is detestable. These sexual acts should be detestable to you. Okay. So when you hear of it, you should be like, no, I'm staying far away from that. Okay. And even in your spirit should be stirred up against that. Okay. So that's what separates you. We've gotten into a culture today that is adopting all this sexual sin, and it's thrown at us before the media and everything else to us, the media, movies, music, and so forth, that we've just it doesn't shock us anymore. Okay, and it should shock us as Christians. We should be detested. We should detest those things. Okay, so when we see that come on in a movie, we should be like, yuck. Okay, not adopting it like, oh yeah, that's nice. Not at all. Okay. So, but then it says everyone who does these things should be cut off from the people. These things should not be happening in the church. Okay, so the church needs to keep itself holy also, and not allow these things to happen. Okay, but I want to make one thing clear here is this: these are sexual sins, and this is sin, just like everything else. That sin is sin. Okay, so if you have these sexual sins going on, they shouldn't be allowed, and you should not allow that to continue to happen, especially among clergy and crazy stuff like that. Okay, but for you to adopt it and go, oh yeah, that's good, we'll allow that stuff in. It's the same thing. You wouldn't want a pastor. You wouldn't want a pastor, hopefully, to be involved in these sexual sins, to be the pastor. But you also don't want the pastor who's involved with, let's say, we'll pick out one of the 10 Commandments, murder, okay? We'll just pick that one out. Murder is sin too. So you don't want the pastor to be a murderer and like, oh yeah, I just, do it on the weekends or whatever. No, that's sin too, okay? Just like you don't want your pastor to be a person that lies all the time, okay? We all fall into sin, but it's that habit of sinning and adopting that and like saying this sin is okay. It's not okay. These are all sins that God has spoken out against, and we are not to adopt them. We are to detest them and to separate ourselves from it. So the bottom line is this, as we close this out, is God called the people out of Egypt, and they were to be a separate people. But then when they went to Canaan, they were to adopt the Canaanite practices, because they were also full of sin too. So they were to be a separate people in Canaan. They were to be God's people. And that's what God's called the church to be, God's church. Not the world's church, God's church. Hey, thanks for watching. I am a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Leviticus. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.